If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be a disciple. Ouch! This has always been a Bible passage that worries me. It slaps my beliefs in the face. We are taught to accept and love everyone, regardless of how they may wrong us or how we may disagree with them. Then in this passage, we're told that we must hate those we hold most dear in order to be Jesus' disciple. And that just doesn't make sense to me. We've been working on this event for a few months, and for that time, we've known what the readings for today would be. I've been holding them with me, thinking about them, and trying to make sense of them. To me, this passage seems like it's giving mixed signals. I don't think he meant for us to hate our loved ones. Quite the opposite. God is love. Our faith boils down to that one statement. If we had to get rid of every doctrine of our faith and keep only one thing, I think it would be this. God is pure, unconditional love. We cannot come to this pure love if other things are foremost in our hearts. We cannot say, yes, I am supposed to be a Christian, but X, Y, and Z are more important than that. I'll work on loving my neighbor tomorrow, but right now I need to study for my chem exam and my neighbor's being really loud. I'll care for the poor tomorrow, but tonight is date night. I'm endlessly guilty of this procrastinating Christianity. I received a devotional book the summer before my freshman year of college called God is Sufficient, Decaf is Not, and I really enjoyed it. I was worried I would finish it before I even went to college in the fall. Now it's my sophomore year, and I don't think I've touched that book in over a year. Needless to say, I didn't finish it. I've even lost my habit of praying before bed every night. There's just always something else to do. An exam, paper, party. It's the routine we all fall into as young adults. We get so caught up in our everyday concerns that we forget to marvel at the beauty around us. We forget to see God's grace in our lives. To me, that is what this passage means. If our love of Christ comes first, then the love you give everything else is greater. God is love, and through loving Him, our own capacity to love becomes greater. So what? It's all fine, it sounds great, reads really well, but how, as young adults living in our scattered, unfocused, and frankly unchristian world, can we take that message and transform our lives? How can we separate our love for God from our love for family and friends, especially when it is through them that we often experience the love of God? How does this impact the aspects of my life? As a college student, do you put everything in your calendar at the beginning of the semester, looking ahead to plan for papers and exams? Or do you just roll with it, hoping tomorrow will take care of itself, maybe having to pull all-nighters or ask for extensions to get it all done? Which one is more effective? In your personal life, do you schedule time with your loved ones? Do you intentionally take time to be with friends and family, or do you just trust that these things will happen without investing in it? We're all familiar with the balancing act we do between work, school, social life, sleep, exercise. There's a lot of intentional planning that goes into that. But what about our relationship with God? Do we plan time for prayers? Do we take time to give thanks for our blessings? Do we take time to listen to God, not just talk at Him? Are we honest in our relationships with Him? Or do we treat God like a heavenly ATM? Prayers in, blessings out. There will always be something that will try to pull you away from prayer or from your relationship with God. How often do we allow ourselves to be distracted? Always, sometimes, never, really hard. How do we make that choice? I have no answers to these questions. If you do, please come see me because I would love some insight. This passage comes to us from Luke. As human beings, we have a bad habit of forming groups so that we may feel like the insiders because we don't want to feel like the outsider. person who doesn't belong. Exclusion seems to be a principle of life, one we are all guilty of. Luke is the most vigorous champion of the outsider. Luke himself was an outsider, the only Gentile among the all-Jewish New Testament writers. He shows us again and again how Jesus championed the outsiders, welcomed them, and made them feel special. After wrestling with this passage for months, I think I've figured out what it means to me. Practice all-inclusive love. Yes, you love your mom, your dad, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your spouse, but do you love those the world hates? Do you love the marginalized, the left behind, and the forgotten? To be a Christian means to love your neighbor as yourself, even if, and especially when, it may be hard to love them. Some organizations or people may tell you that hating others for their race, class, gender, or sexual orientation is okay. It's not. God is love, and if we are to become close to God, then we must practice His pure, all-inclusive, and unconditional love as well. It isn't easy, and we will fail again and again and again, but we must try. I'd like to close with a prayer that a friend and mentor of mine often uses. Life is short, and we do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who make this earthly pilgrimage with us. So be swift to love, make haste to do kindness, shower abundant hospitality on friend and stranger, walk in justice, that you may follow the path of mercy and love, and the blessing of God, who comes to us unbidden, before our lives was broken, and in whose spirit we are guided into wholeness and holiness of life, be upon you and those you love, this day and forevermore. Amen.